Wild. Wild is the word that I would use to describe this show and these women. But welcome, 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 welcome. It's been a while it feels like it's been a while since I've seen y'all or talked to y'all. It's a new show. This is the show I'm here for. Baddies Gone Wild. If you're here for it and you're new to me, hit subscribe. If you're not new, you already know the drill. Thumbs up the video. Let's try and shoot for like 200 to 300 likes on this video. Be down there in the comments. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on the premiere episode of Baddies Gone Wild. For one, I actually enjoyed it. It's fresh. And when I say fresh, it's fresh in a lot of ways. We got new girls, like completely new girls. I don't know any of these women. I've never seen any of these women before, including Ming Li. I know she's Nicki Minaj's sister, but I ain't never seen her before. So that's new. The house is new. The vibes are new because it's just different girls. The concept of the show is not completely new, but it's refreshing because it's just different. We ain't seen this yet. We want to see how this is going to go. As we've seen later on, there's an incentive for them being here, which makes it exciting. And yeah, these girls, it's different storylines, and that's what I want to see. So that's what we're here for. And I'm not going to waste too much time. Let's go ahead and get on into it now. Let's go. All right, so we start off with Natalie. Natalie, she is introducing the season. They're going to be in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Love the location. Love the location. That's cool. Like, for Bad Girls Club, typically, because that's what the show is essentially supposed to be, like the Bad Girls Club of Zeus. Typically, they go to different locations. Sometimes they'll be in California. Sometimes they'll be in Atlanta. Sometimes they'll be in Texas. So that's cool. And I like the fact that they're taking it out of the country into a party location, which is Brazil. Rio is a party location. So they can actually do things outside of just being in the house. So that's step number one that I like. But Natalie's pretty much stating like, this is where we're going to be. She invited Ming Li after meeting her in Miami. As we all know, that is Nicki Minaj's sister, her little sister. And we get introduced to Ming Li. She says she's known for being someone's sister. She didn't say her sister's name, obviously, which I like that she didn't say that, because people that know, but if you didn't know, you eventually will know. But I like the fact that she's not saying her sister's name to like get clout off of her, essentially. But Ming, she meets up with Natalie. And Natalie, they're outside of her suite, and they got a nice view. Brazil is beautiful. Never been, want to go, but I like being able to watch stuff like this to actually see the places that I haven't been. But Natalie ends up asking her if she's excited. Of course she's excited. This is a new experience for her. Natalie says that her personality just filled the room and she's a star. I can see that, but I feel like Natalie's main objective is, let's get Nicki Minaj's sister on here so we can get some views. Natalie is a smart businesswoman. She knows what she's doing. That's marketing 101. But Natalie ends up saying like she's like, this season is going to have a lot of younger girls. And Ming is perfect for that, which we know the age range is supposed to be from 21 to 27, but they made that exception for Ming Li, which I understand why. But she's young. She turns up on the internet. Ming Li, she's excited to be on the show. She said that she didn't know that she would even be there. So it's just going to be interesting. And there's a lot of people there. But Natalie ends up telling her that she handpicked her to be on the show. And she feels like she has her own thing going. And she wants her to kind of like be a star on her own and have her time to shine. Ming thanks her for the opportunity and wants to show people more of her that don't know too much about her besides the fact that she's Nicki's sister, which I like because I don't know her. So this is going to be interesting for me to see her. But we find out that she is 19 years old. Natalie then tells her, okay, well, good thing we're in Brazil because the legal age of drinking in Brazil is 18 years old. So she's legally able to do that stuff. So whatever, have fun. But Natalie essentially lets her know that they're going to ride up to the mansion. She's going to have Ming Li stay in the car while she's greeting the girls. And then she's going to bring Ming Li in as the surprise guest. So that's what's happening there. So then we get to the scene where we see the rest of the girls that are going to be on the show. They're leaving the hotel. We get introduced to each one of these girls individually. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the girls. My first impressions right now. If you don't know and you're new to me, I like to wait till episode 5 to confirm a true favorite. I'm going to tell you the ones that I'm liking right now. I'm going to tell you the ones that I don't want to say I'm not liking right now because I don't really dislike anybody yet. But I'm going to tell you what I feel. First person, TeeTee from Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you did not watch the live that myself, Movie Bay Legend, and Jan did, January Flowers, we did it like 2 or 3 months ago when they dropped the cast. We did like cast analysis based off of what we've seen from their social medias. TeeTee was one of my favorites because she, like me, don't fool with that nigga shit, like white people saying nigga. So she immediately was on my list as a potential favorite. Coming into this, watching this right now, she was one of my favorites right in the moment. We'll get to it. But she says she's known for beating bitches so bad that they resort to using these. Which, I mean, considering what I saw later on, I can see it possibly being true. But we then see Jadynn. Jadynn, she is an influencer. She's a bottle girl. She apparently has somebody for putting their hands on her. I can't be mad at you for... Can I be mad at you for that? I can't be mad at her for that, but that's self-defense. And then, like I say, certain people you deal with, you just got to be... You got to be careful with who you're dealing with, because some people will pull that out. And if you decide to play with somebody and they do that, then you played with the wrong one. But she said people think that she's stuck up and that they think that's because she's sweet or whatever, because she's quiet, but they'll learn different. Yeah, we learn different. But Coco is from Detroit. She's the lit girl. She gets called to beat up bitches in her city, apparently. I like Coco from what I've seen so far. We'll see if she ends up being a favorite of mine. We get Bahati. Bahati is from Australia. I'm not trying to call her my favorite right now, but she definitely is. She getting up there for me after this episode. She was a star. She's from Australia. I love the fact that she's from Australia. That's just completely different. You're bringing girls from all around the world together. Love that. She said people think she's nice, but she's actually a raging bitch. I can see that. She comes out. That accent makes her seem like a super sweet, nice girl, which I think she is. She just ain't one to be played with. Like, when I say ain't one to be played with, whether she can fight or not, she gonna do what she gotta do. She gonna say what she wanna say. She gonna fight if she gotta fight. Even if she can't fight, she's still gonna do it. She's not gonna let you punk her. I like what I'm seeing. We'll get to her in a minute, though. But we get Hurricane M, which is Emerie. I'm gonna be calling her Emerie. I'm not calling nobody no Hurricane this, no Hurricane that. Her name is Emerie. She's a beautiful girl. She's from Texas. She is a bottle girl in Houston. She has a degree. Smart. Love that. She's working on 2 more degrees. Love that for you. But she crazy as fuck. That's what she said, and I wouldn't doubt it. We get Janelys Baby from New York. She talks a lot of shit. She says a lot of people doubt her fighting. Pretty much like when they find out that she's going to be on the show, they're like, you need to learn how to fight. And she's like, I watch bitches. We don't see. Gloss Up. From what I'm being told, if I'm remembering correctly, she is affiliated with Glorilla, or at least once was, which is what led to her glow up. But she's a rapper from Memphis as well. She's wanting to rebrand. I'm like, rebrand on this show? That's the rebrand you want? I'm like, okay. But I'm liking her so far, too. She said she wants to show everybody who she is. We get Daisy Dukes from Rochester, New York. Like Bahati, she's up here for me. She's up here for me. Liking her really, really well right now. Liking her. She ain't with no bullshit. She don't like the cute shit, even though she claims she's a pretty bitch. Even though I will say she's a pretty girl. She raps, she shakes ass, and she knows how to fight. That's what she said. What I saw, I don't doubt it. She looked like she know how to throw them hands. We meet Erica Raven, who is a pretty girl. She looks like a model. She's from Philadelphia. She's a baddie going wild. But they get on their sprinters or whatever, and they're starting to get to know each other. TeeTee and Coco, they're rocking on being from the Midwest. Jadynn then introduces herself, and they're like, you weren't even on the list. I'm like, yes, she wasn't. When they said it, I'm like, she wasn't. I don't remember seeing her. And Emerie says, oh, okay, I get it. Replacement. She said that to her, too. I'm like, oh, okay, so what's going on here? Jadynn ends up saying, bitch, don't start with me. Emerie says, noted, like playing with her, noted. So we get the other sprinter, and we're going to get into those two in a minute. But they're introducing themselves as well. Daisy's letting them know she's from Rochester, not from New York City. I'm from Rochester. She's making it sure that's the difference. New York City and Rochester are not the same, apparently. I'm not from New York, so I can't tell you. From what I'm seeing, from what I'm guessing she's meaning is like Rochester is a lot more, like real. Whereas New York City comes off a little bit bougie. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I got from it. Janelys, who is from New York as well, says she ain't from New York. I'm from New York. So the New York shit. But Daisy ends up saying, y'all in New York only care about that cute shit. Janelys ends up saying she's annoying in her confessionals, talking about Daisy. Whatever. You ain't say that in her face, though. But Cupcake. We find out Cupcake, she's from the Bay. She's from San Francisco. She says her reputation is beating bitches up and getting hypey. The beating bitches up. I don't know about that from what I've seen, but we'll see. But she ran into Walmart naked for $30,000. I mean, she got paid, but okay. But, I mean, she's wild. This is for the show. But she's also that girl that got Natalie tattooed on her, if I'm remembering correctly. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. But if she is the one, judging, We get Oxy Pearl. She's from Cleveland, Ohio. She's unpredictable, essentially. Like, that's just really what it is. She said people don't know what to expect from her. And I like that. But she ends up saying that she's going to be the fan favorite. Are you? The ones that come on here saying they're going to be the fan favorite, I always start to question. Because it's like, are you going to be on here doing stuff to try and be the fan favorite? Just be yourself. And if you're yourself and you're entertaining and you're not doing too much, people are going to actually like you. And then you will become the fan favorite. So if you're not on here doing too much, you probably will be the fan favorite. But we meet Rella Gz, who is from Harlem and the Bronx. She's the self-proclaimed gangsta Barbie. She's a pretty girl that'll beat your ass. We'll see. Shay, who is also very pretty. Very pretty. She's from Ohio, Detroit, and Mississippi. She claimed all them places. She said she a shit talker. We know that. She's a dancer. We see that. And she stands her ground. We do see that too. She said, touch my shit and I'm going to set it off. I feel you on that. You touch my shit, I'm going to set it off too. But she said she'll be the one talking shit and being the instigator. She stood true on that, but we'll get to it in a minute. But on the other sprinter, we go back to that other sprinter. TeeTee's in there asking them, like, who on the cast do y'all know? Who do y'all think y'all going to get into it with? Jadynn ends up pointing down at Emerie. I said, oh, okay. Okay. And I'm like, because of that comment that she had made, but Emerie then saying you wasn't even on the list. Like, you can't even say nothing. And Jadynn ends up saying, like, I don't know you. So I want to know what your issue is with me. But we're going to later find out that you do know of her and you do know what her issue is. But Emerie ends up saying in her confessional that she had gotten into it with Jadynn a year and a half ago because her mama is white and was calling everybody around them niggas and shit. I said, here we go again with the nigga shit. But you already know. If you're not new here, you already know. If you're new here, I'm black. I'm one of them ones that I don't allow nobody around me that is not black to be saying nigga around me. If you got black friends that be on that coon shit and are okay with you saying it, say that shit around them. Don't say that shit around me. So I feel Emerie on that shit. Like, if your mama out here saying it, don't do that shit around me. So that's essentially what she's saying. And Emerie ends up saying that Jadynn had said that her mama was that the mama supposedly was the mama. I don't know if it was the mama or the cousin, but she apparently had said that that was the cousin, and Emerie ended up confronting her. So Emerie then says too that Jadynn had asked her why she had felt like it was going to be a problem, and Jadynn said from the prior issue. So Jadynn ends up saying, or Emerie ends up saying, but you don't even know me. And Jadynn says, I don't, bitch, but I know of you. And Emerie said, watch those B words, watch those B words. But Emerie then says that Jadynn had thought that she had tried to fight her mom. And Emerie says, if I was going to fight your mama, I would have beat her the fuck up by now. I said, but Jadynn ends up saying it happened 2 years ago and you wanted to bring it to TV. Well, she said this in her confessional. She said that Emerie wanted to bring it to TV for camera time. And it's like, is it her wanting to bring it to TV for camera time, or have y'all not seen each other since then? And then y'all are literally here now. And of course, she still has that in her mind. So it's kind of a built-in storyline anyway. So is it her bringing it to TV? Is y'all being brought to TV and the storyline continues? So, I mean, I can't fault Emerie for that. But Rella ends up asking Jadynn if Emerie had fought her mama. And Jadynn said no. And Emerie said exactly. But Emerie is talking and saying a bunch of stuff, and Jadynn leaves up to sneak her. Don't respect that shit. Y'all, I don't respect the sneaking. There's a lot of sneaking going on here. But if you sneak somebody first and you get snuck back, I'm not mad at it. But the initial sneak, Jadynn sneaking Emerie, weak. So they start doing all that, and they kind of like grabbing at each other's hair. Nobody's really doing too much from what I can see. Security's trying to break it up and whatnot. And TeeTee, who is pretty much on the other side so she could see what's going on, taking it from her word, Jadynn was in there getting her ass beat by Emerie. And she said that them brand new veneers that Jadynn had in her mouth that smelled like shit was getting fucked up and stuff. Emerie ends up getting loose and told her that you can't fuck with me. You can't fuck with me on your best day, your worst day, da da da. She was sitting there saying, you just snuck me. And Jadynn told her to shut the fuck up. And Emerie ends up slinging her purse at Jadynn. She missed, but it got close. But Emerie ends up telling Jadynn to look at her mouth because her teeth was bleeding, and she starts licking her teeth. And Emerie told Jadynn that she should have put her mouth guard in. Jadynn sitting there saying, I did. No, you didn't. Because look at your mouth. But Coco said she wasn't expecting all that from Jadynn because Jadynn was sitting over there being quiet, but you sitting here sneaking a bitch. And how you sneak a bitch and get your ass beat? Good question. Well, we get to the other sprinter. They're in there talking about if they know the new girl. It's pretty much the same thing. And Cupcake ends up saying that she has a question for Oxy, who is sitting right next to her. And she says, because you were on live with Smiley from Baddies, and having a conversation about that tattoo that I just mentioned of her having Natalie on her, and she wanted to know if Oxy was sitting there being messy, feeding into Smiley's shit because she had saw her chuckling a little bit. And Oxy gets in her confessional and say, "Are you trying to check me because I was sitting here chuckling?" Which I'm like, I wish you would have said that to her in real time, because like I'd have laughed at that shit too. But she ends up saying, like, I laugh at everything. Me too. I do too. But she's sitting there laughing in the scene too, which was funny to me. But Oxy essentially tells her, like, I wasn't being funny. Like, I didn't know y'all had beef, but it wasn't intentional. To me, some people might say it's her copping the plea, but to me, she didn't have an issue. It seems like she didn't have an issue. But Cupcake took it as that and says in her confessionals that if somebody comes for her this season, she's on that. Remember that. Remember that. She says she on that if somebody comes for her this season. Remember that. We'll get to it in a minute. But Shay ends up saying that every bitch who went online, because Shay gets up and starts addressing the whole bus. Every bitch that went online pretty much got online to do the auditions and shit. She feels disrespected because y'all didn't go through the whole audition process, standing in the line, going through all that shit. And she says, I don't feel like that's cool. How are you upset with them for that? Be upset with Zeus. Be upset with yourself. We're gonna get into it though. Cause Shay is pretty. Shay got potential. I hope this is just her bad moment. I feel like Shay could have potential to be a favorite. We'll see later on, but we'll get into it. But she wants to know what the girls that was online did to get on the show. Pretty much saying like, so who did y'all suck off to get on this show? That's what I was gathering from what she was saying. But Gloss Up ends up asking her, because Gloss Up is like, Shay's in the seat in the row in front of Gloss Up, and Gloss Up sitting there, and she's like, so you got a problem with it because I'm here? Because Gloss Up didn't go to the auditions. And she ends up saying that I do feel some type of way about it, but you're the only celebrity on the cast that I know of because of your song. And Daisy ends up saying, I put my audition online, and Janelys is back there as well saying that she did too. And Shay is sitting there saying, that's not fair, that's not fair. Daisy said, you could have done it too. I said, exactly. Exactly. So Shay starts getting hyped saying that, but we had to go in person. We had to go in person. You didn't have to go in person. They just proved to you that you didn't have to do it. Granted, they might have been in somebody's back pocket, but you don't have to go. You decided to go. You got on the show for doing that, so what are you mad at? Like, I don't get it. But Daisy ends up saying that Janelys, she ends up saying that in her confessional, she ends up saying that if she didn't, talking about Shay, if you didn't want to go stand in the line, don't do it. And she said, that's what I did. I didn't want to go stand in line. I didn't have to do it. Right. But Janelys then tells Shay, like, if you chose to stand in that line, that's on you. It is. Like, it is. And Shay was like, who was in line? I was in VIP. So if you was in VIP, what you mad at? I don't get it. What you mad at? But Shay is now getting hype in Daisy's face. In her face, talking with her hands. Daisy said, why are you yelling? Like, then they start fighting. Because them hands was getting too close to Daisy. And I'm like, Daisy, pop on her. And that's exactly what she did. I like Daisy. From what I'm seeing right now, I like her. We'll see in 5 episodes before I claim a favorite. But what I'm seeing from Daisy, I like it. They start scrapping, and Daisy was up in there uppercutting her shit. I almost bit my tongue. Uppercutting her shit. Hard, too. I said, oh, Daisy got them hands. I can see it. But security ends up breaking them up. Daisy ends up saying, bitch, don't you ever put your hands in my face. Set the groundwork. Let them know. Don't do that shit. You getting hit. But Daisy ends up saying she ain't, because she ends up getting a scratch on her face. They scratch it. Everybody getting scratched up. Everybody getting scratched up. You're going to see it in a minute. But Daisy, she ends up saying, like, I ain't thinking nothing about that scratch, but when we get off that bus, you going to tend to me. You going to put a Band-Aid on it and shit, too. I was like, I like her. That's what I was like. I really like her. But Daisy ends up laughing as she's saying, you're mad, bitch. Like, she was mad. Like, that girl was mad. She was like, because I don't even know if Shay was mad. But Daisy was not bothered by it. Like, yes, she was wanting to fight, but, like, she wasn't hot. Like, she wasn't mad, but, like, I was like, that's why I like her. But she ends up saying, don't put your hands in my face. But back on that other bus, Emerie and Jadynn, they still going at it. Emerie ends up saying, you still had to sneak me. You still got your shit rocked. TeeTee is now clowning Bahati, telling her that your wig is big as shit, and I'm going to help you a bit. Bahati was laughing it off because T wasn't really touching her at this point. But Rella then says that Bahati started popping off at her when she tried to help her with her wig, but didn't say shit to T. I said, but TeeTee wasn't touching her. You was touching her. You don't even know this girl. You put your hands on her, whether it was in good nature or whatever. You don't know that girl. You put your hands on her and invade her space without her giving you the authority to do that. What do you think is going to possibly happen? And y'all are on the show called Baddies. She might have thought she was trying to come over there and hit her. But TeeTee was just talking it at that moment. But Rella ends up tying her hair up back there in the back because she's behind Bahati. Bahati can't even see her and see what she's doing. But of course, Rella gets up to sneak her. Weak. And security breaks it up. Bahati ends up saying Rella's a weird bitch. Call out that fade. If you wanted to call that fade out. And that confessional look that Bahati had on, they was clowning her wig in the real scene. But that confessional look that Bahati had on, she looked good. She looked good. But Rella ends up getting up. Her face is all scratched up. I'm like, how you sneak? It's like 2 instances where the 2 girls that snuck, well, really 3, got done up. Like, what's her face? Jadynn snuck Emerie, got her tooth fucked up. Shay over there sneaking Daisy. I gotta remember the names. It's new girls. And she was getting fucked up. And then now Rella sneaks Bahati, and now you got a scratch clean across your face. But Bahati ends up snatching Rella up again. Security tries to break that up. Bahati's sitting there kicking and stuff. And Coco, who I feel like I'm liking too, is telling them to stop all that sneaking. I'm like, exactly. And why y'all fighting on the bus though? If y'all didn't watch me on Johnson's Cabaret's reunions, they was doing that, or not reunion, episodes. They was doing that the whole season. I can't stand when they fight on the bus. I'm claustrophobic. I'm not fighting nobody on the bus, even though I did fight on the bus when I was in middle school, but that was a lot more space. But if you gonna fight, get out the bus. Get out the bus. Do that shit when you got space. But TeeTee is now swinging something at Bahati, which I'm assuming was her wig. But back on the other bus, we get back to the other bus. Daisy is still over there checking Shay's temperature. Shay tries to swing on her again. Daisy pounced on that shit again. Security breaks it up. Daisy's like, you ain't fucking with me, I promise you. I believe her. She's not fucking with her. But Gloss ends up saying that Shay's energy had changed when Daisy had popped on her. And it was true. Like, that high power energy that she had was kind of low power. Like, Daisy kind of shut her up a little bit. But the rest of the girls, they was loving it. Janelys is saying, we're all here. Everybody got potential. Like, if I don't want to wait in the line, I don't have to do it. Right. She said, I got invited here, and there's levels to this shit. There's levels to this shit. But Janelys ends up saying that Shay is out there bugging. I don't know what I put, but she basically saying she out there bugging, which she was. But Shay ends up saying something back to her, and wait. She says Shay was bugging or whatever, and pretty much said along the lines like, you decided you want to go out there and do that shit. Like, we didn't have to do it. But Shay ends up saying something back to her, and they start going back and forth. Shay sitting there pressing Janelys now, and Janelys says, come stop me, essentially. Come do something. So she gets up, and they starting to come to meet each other in the middle of the bus still, and they start getting ready to go. Oxy got the fuck up, because Oxy was in the middle. They got 3 rows. Oxy's in that middle row. She got the fuck up, because she knew they was about to start doing what they was doing. They start trying to fight. Not much was really going on. They're on a bus. I'm like, get off the bus. But they tried to go again. Nothing was really happening. A bunch of hair pulling. So somebody ended up saying, y'all need to wait till we get off this bus. I said, for real. Like, get off the bus first. But the other bus, we get back over there. TeeTee's telling them to get Bahati off the bus. I'm like, and Bahati tries to go sit back down. T puts her leg in the seat, like stretches it all the way across. She can't even get in the seat. Bahati tries to go over there and sit, and TeeTee said, no. Bahati then charges and sneaks at TeeTee. I ain't even gonna call it a sneak for real, because TeeTee was paying attention. She just bum rushed her. Like, that's just really what that was. But if you want to call it a sneak, call it a sneak. TeeTee was uppercutting her shit, though. Uppercutting. I said, oh, she can fight, too. Security starts breaking that up. Bahati tries to get her licks in between security. Coco ain't feeling all that sneaking, like I said. TeeTee said, I'm going to hurt you. But the way she was looking at her, I was like, yeah, she probably will. Said she going to hurt Bahati. Told her she going to get her. You fucked up. Bahati's not fazed by it, though. She ain't fazed by it, though. That's why I like her. That's why I like her. But TeeTee ends up saying, you sleeping outside with them kangaroos. So on the other bus, Shay's now dancing. The rest of the girls is pretty much making their own chant, which is called Wild Bitches Take Shots. They didn't want to say Baddie Baddie Shot O'Clock. I'm glad to hear that. But Daisy was the one that started it. But the other bus breaks down. Coco ends up saying, y'all made the bus break down. I'm irritated because they ain't got no chill, essentially. And we get back to the other bus. Shay is over there saying that they will get first dibs on the rooms if they get there first. And they all start cheering, even though that didn't happen. But the other bus, they're still stuck. They get off the bus to get on the new bus. Emerie's the first one off that bus. She ready to go get to the house so she can scrap. And they get on that other bus, and Emerie was like, Jadynn is lucky that I am not trying to go to Brazilian jail because I'd have got out here and fucked her shit up. But they get on the new bus, and they're talking about who's been to Brazil. And Rella had ended up saying, like, I'm beating bitches' asses and beating asses in Brazil. And she got that large cut across her face. And Bahati ain't got nothing yet. And she's sitting there talking at Bahati as she's saying that. And Bahati's sitting there laughing and says, you mean getting your ass beaten? She said, you mean getting beat up in Brazil? I was like, exactly. But Bahati ends up saying every time she gets up, talking about Rella, every time you get up and look in that mirror now, you're going to see my autograph on your face. She said, I left a mark on you. I was dying. I was like, she is funny. I like her. But they start going back and forth again. We get to the Baddies Gone Wild house. All this sprinter shit. What is it with Zeus with this sprinter shit taking the majority of the episode? But we get to the house, finally. Beautiful. I'm telling you, Jocelyn, Texas, the last season, they had the best house back then. This right here is easily the best house I've ever seen on Zeus. It's one of the best houses for a reality show group that I've seen in a while. Like, that house is beautiful. They really did really, really well for these girls. But Natalie gets there and she pretty much takes us on some MTV Crib shit. She says the girls got it made. They do. The rooms are decked out, even though a lot of them are having like rooms together, which I like. Because y'all already know if it's going to be Bad Girls Club on Zeus, you got to have the rooms where they have beds in there together. Because that's where essentially a lot of fights and shit goes down. So they got an elevator in there. They got a day club party area. They got multiple cameras in the rooms. They got a confessional room, which is very much nostalgic BGC. Natalie gets in there and pretty much shows it and says, like, this is where the girls are coming here. That's too pussy to go out here and say some shit, be talking shit in here. And somebody hears it and comes in here. Boom, y'all already know what happens with Bad Girls Club. Love that. Natalie says, I hope the girls that come in here talking shit are going to stand on it outside. But the sprinters, they pull up. And the girls get off the bus, they twerking and stuff and getting in front of the house. Natalie comes out to greet them. They're all screaming, excited to see her. She welcomes them and she sees that they've been fighting, clearly, because hair is messed up, scratches all over the faces. She's asking Shay, like, what happened to you? And Janelys says she needed that. She's annoying. And Natalie's looking like, oh, so you did that. And Daisy's like, no, she ain't do that. I did that. But Natalie ends up asking, like, what happened to your face? Because Daisy got a scratch on hers, too. And she says, she just scratched me. But Natalie ends up asking, like, essentially, y'all all been fighting on this sprinter. Do y'all want to get some shit off y'all chest right now? AKA, let's fight. And that's exactly what happened. Daisy asked Shay if she wanted to fight again. While she's checking her, T's over here sneaking Bahati. Like I said, I don't like that sneaking. But if you want to call that charge that Bahati did to TeeTee a sneak, then she snuck her back. So fair is fair. T was over there tearing Bahati up. Security is breaking it up. TeeTee is saying to Bahati that I told her, Bahati had told her to let me take my shit off first. And TeeTee said, I'm not going to let you get to me first. So I'm like, I can't fault her because she did sneak you on that bus. But Bahati and Rella, they start getting into it. Rella looked like she was actually getting in there a little bit. It looked like Bahati can't fight. That's just all I'm going to say. Rella can't fight either, but Bahati, it looks like she really can't fight. But regardless, she going to get in there. She going to get in there regardless. But Janelys and Shay, I feel like possibly can fight. Janelys, I'm still doubting her fighting abilities. Their rounds, they went 2 rounds. Nothing was really happening. Emerie versus Jadynn, it's a bunch of hair pulling. I feel like Emerie can actually get down to a certain degree. We'll see in later episodes. But I feel like she can, but nothing was really happening there either. Security breaks that up. Natalie is shook that it's that much beef already. They just literally got there. But TeeTee tries to sneak Bahati again. Bahati is not with it because security's allowing it. And Natalie ends up saying, essentially, I'm just going to bring some of y'all into this house. Y'all need to cut this shit out because we in this nice-ass neighborhood, which they are. And y'all doing too fucking much right now. Like, get in the house first. But Bahati, she then leaps over at Rella. I'm like, it's just too much going on. This has been about probably 12 fights in one episode. And this is the first episode. But security breaks that up. Bahati ends up saying that Natalie is telling them to calm down. But she knows, talking about Natalie, you know what you doing. You asked us, did we want to get it off our chest? That's what we doing. Like, what you mean? And Bahati said, I ain't no weak bitch. Like, that's just what it is. And I'm like, I like it. I respect it. But Natalie, she then tells them no fighting. We're going in the house. So they head on in. The dirty ass security guard who looked like he was sweating in mildew. Like, that's what he looked like. He smelled like. But he in the security recapping the fights. He's like, oh, this shit was happening. I was cracking up. But Natalie, She's walking them through the house. Like I said, it's definitely the best house. The girls are loving it. Natalie ends up saying, we're not going into any rooms yet. We're going to go upstairs to this special spot. So they go up to the club area. So Natalie ends up letting them know that we'll do a toast later on. But as they're doing all this talking and stuff, there's this lady who's their neighbor peeking out the window, like telling them to shut the fuck up. Like, stop all that screaming and stuff. Stop all that. I was cracking up because that would have been me. Get the fuck out of my neighborhood with this shit. But Natalie ends up telling them essentially there's rooms with 2 to 3 beds in it. There's a master room. They're going to have to figure that out. AKA, y'all going to have to fight it out. You already know what's going down. But Cupcake claims she's going to be in the master room. We'll see if she does. But Natalie ends up saying the house rules. There's no sneaking. It's already happened. And I'm like, are you going to enforce it? Like, are you going to be there to actually enforce it? And if it happens, what is it? Are there going to be any repercussions? Are you going to get a short check? Are you going to get sent off the show? What are you going to do to make sure that there's no sneaking happening? We'll see if it actually happens. But she then asked them if they have any rules that they want to enforce, and they say no spitting. I'm like, exactly, none of that. That's disgusting. Natalie then asked who's spitting, and Bahati ends up saying, like, I'm not, she said in her confession, I'm breaking all the rules because I fight dirty. I don't like it, but like, I mean, that's what it is. But Natalie then lets them know that they're giving away $50,000 this season for the show. And it'll be a fan vote at the end of the season. She lets them know that they'll get the money at the reunion, which we know they're going to have a reunion. They'll get the money at the reunion based off of who gets the most MVBs, most valuable baddies, the most from that Zeus T Incorporated page, which I'm assuming. And they'll get a Baddies Gone Wild chain. I'm like, here we go with the chain shit again. But they'll get the money based off of who gets the most MVBs throughout the season. So Natalie then lets them know as well that she wants to introduce them to Ming Li. And it tells them they need to be nice. So Ming comes and gets up off the elevator. She comes in. They're all clapping and cheering. Ming says she's open to the sisterhood. I said, okay, we'll see. But she's looking at them like, what's wrong with y'all? Because they all scarred up and shit. She's like, what's happening? Daisy comes up and gives her a big hug. Natalie then lets them know that Ming is going to be joining them for the season. Let's have fun. Let's turn up. Rella ends up saying that she knows of Ming because they have mutual friends. And Ming ends up asking the girls, like, with the scratches, like, what's going on with y'all's faces? Like, what's going on? T and Bahati, they going back and forth again. And one thing leads to another. And T asked Bahati if she wants to run it again. And Bahati said, come on, drop her shit. Knowing that T about to rock her shit. But Bahati's not scared. She ain't no punk. I respect it. T was punching her in her face. But security ends up breaking that up. Bahati's sitting there biting on T's leg. I said... She said it. She fight dirty, and that's fighting dirty. Nasty as fuck. But Coco, she's not with all that biting. So she apparently tries to go in there and break it up. But Daisy ends up stealing off on Cupcake for punching Bahati, saying that she felt like she was jumping. I mean, shit. If she was jumping in there, I couldn't really tell for sure. But if she was jumping, I ain't mad at you, Daisy. I ain't mad at you. That's what you need to do. Don't let them sit in there and jump. But I wanted to mention that again because remember what I told y'all earlier? How Cupcake said she owned it. She ain't gonna run back over there to Daisy to go run that with her. She just socked you all in your shit. You didn't do nothing about it. But Ming, she walking around grabbing socks like y'all bitches losing socks and shit. She gonna be funny. But Daisy then starts fighting Coco at the end. I'm like, oh shit. But next week we got Rella versus Bahati again. We get Shay and Ming Li in the pool jacuzzi making out, tonguing each other down. Emerie versus Jadynn, it looks like again, and we got a club appearance. So, good premiere episode. I enjoyed it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Thumbs up the video if you haven't already. Drop your comments down below. Share the video. Subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 10K. If y'all love me, y'all do that for me. It's free of charge. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.